understand that you choreographed a stage production of this very early
I
in your career,
did.
so this is full circle. It must be a dream for you.
It was. I mean, if you had asked me then, when I was choreographing this little small production in a regional theater in the United States, if you had said, you're going to be directing the film one day, I would have said you're crazy. So it is kind of a dream for me, absolutely.
And what fascinates you so much about the story and fairy tales in general?
When I saw this musical originally, I loved it right away, and I saw it in 1987 when it played on Broadway, and I love the wonder of it, the magic of it, the humor of it, the joy of all these unique fairy tales coming together, the baker and the baker's wife story, which is the original story, sort of tying it all together, and then. Of course, I loved the fact that it explores what happens after Happily Ever After, which is so unique, and that it becomes more real and more true, and then has a profound message about life, and about parents and children. I think that's a very important dynamic today, I feel. So the message of the piece about no one is alone, and we can get through this together, and careful what you wish for because there are consequences of your actions. All of that it almost harkens back to the original Grimm fairy tales in a way that are always cautionary and teach you life lessons. And so to have all of that in one piece is very special, and that's why I've always loved it.
So is that something that's very important to you, as well as having the kind of entertainment value to have a message?
I think
in the
it's
film as
important.
well?
I mean, when you're working on something, I feel it has to come from your heart, something you feel. In addition to making something entertaining, I always think it's nice when it can mean something personal to you. And it does mean something personal to me. I mean, I think what it says about parents and children is very special. Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful about how you become a parent. It really deals with, the character of the baker is dealing with how to be a father, fear of being a father because his father wasn't good. The same with the witch. Her mother was not a good mother, so she's trying to be a good mother and doesn't succeed at that. And it really brings up that whole parent-child relationship, and I think everybody can relate to that. And it's about being careful how you parent your child, and how you and how you deal with the world in general. So yeah, it's nice when you can find something like that's personal for you.
Absolutely, and you've gathered together a very incredible cast. Talk to me about working with the likes of Meryl Streep and Johnny Depp in particular.
Well, this is a dream cast for sure. I asked Meryl Streep to do this first. She was the first person I asked, and when she said yes, I was thrilled out of my mind because there's not a greater actor to work with. She just brings everything to the table, all of it. The passion, she loves the work. She's an amazing leader. So that was a thrill for me. And I had worked with Johnny Depp on Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's an extraordinary creative force. And to have him play a small part in this film, which is great for him. He was excited to be part of a company and have a small role, and he's just so unique and an amazing person too. All the people in this film are not only incredibly talented actors and singers, which was a sort of a discovery for me, but they're also wonderful people. That's very important, especially in this film. You're asked to really feel for these characters and follow their journeys, and I think it's important that you actually then can relate to them and like them.
Cool. And so with awards season coming up and the Oscars, that's something you've been through before. Tell me what that's like. Do you pay much attention to Oscar bars? How exciting is it?
It's always interesting, with the award season of it all. The key for me is to try and focus on the work and the material and the piece, because that's what's the most important part of it. When those things happen, it's this wonderful gift. But it's dangerous to sort of think in those terms. It's better actually just to sort of focus on the piece and hope that people come see it and enjoy the experience seeing it and are moved by the experience in some way. And so that's what you try and do. You try and sort of do that and let it all of that happen. If it happens, it's wonderful.
Final question. You're obviously a huge fan of this story, but early on there was kind of social media backlash over some of the decisions. How do you cope with that, and do you ignore it? Do you pay attention to it?
With that the early stuff that came out, it was so false, it was so wrong, and so I thought, well, when they see the film, they'll see. At a certain point, I just wanted to say, what are you all talking about? You haven't seen the piece. But on the flip side, I guess the positive, which I try and always look at the positive side of things, the positive side is that is that people felt very passionately about this piece. They really want it to be good, and so did I. And I love the piece on stage as they do, and was careful about how we translated it to film. But I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, they will see that we, of course, were very careful and very honored the piece, and one of the reasons I asked James Lapine and Steve Sondheim to work with me on the screenplay, etc., was because I wanted to retain the essential elements of the original piece. And so I think the point is, they'll see, and then it will. I mean, it's kind of gone away because it was all rumor.